Rick Hong here for Hollywood First Look Features. Tonight, we're at the premiere for Darden. Based on a true story, the movie stars Forest Whitaker, Garrett Hedlund, and Usher. Let's take a first look.
What you doing now?
Oh, you know, just spend some time.
I know Mike Burton. We used to hang out just like these two. And things are different now.
Why's that?
We're Klansmen.
We're in the midst of an epidemic right here in Lawrence.
Done a lot of bad things in my life. Things I now regret.
If you truly want to leave the Klan, then your first step is admitting what you've done.
He needs to go back to where he belongs.
Some of these people are my family.
Look where it got you.
Can't get rid of hate unless you replace it with something else.
Did I read this right? This has been like a 20-year journey for you.
Yeah, I first heard of the story in 1996, actually, and I wrote a first draft in 1999. So it's been a long road.
You as the writer-director, do you feel like you're in good hands when you get an Oscar winner, Forest Whitaker part of it, Garrett Hedlund's amazing, and the twist for me a little bit was to sing Usher in this. I was like, oh wow, the R&B star like wants to do this story.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't be in better hands than the cast I had all around. And not only is the talent level, I mean, obviously Forrest is unbelievable. Not only as an actor, but Forrest is really an amazing person. But Garrett was incredible for me. Like for a first-time director, it was a blessing. Andrea just breathed Judy Burden in, Andrea Riseborough, and became her. And so, Usher, Crystal Fox, everybody in the movie is amazing. Tom Wilkinson is obviously a genius. And Usher, what I love about Usher is he had to meet with me like 3 times to make sure that my heart was in the right place before he signed on to do the movie. And once he did, you realize you don't get to be Usher by being lazy. That guy came to set fully prepared to do this movie. I mean, he was ready to go from day one.
I mean, and then finally, is it crazy for you to know that this story is in 1996, you've been with it for 20 years, and these issues are still around today?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, really. It's unfortunate the movie resonates today as much and is relevant today as much as it ever was in 1965, 1995, and now, 2020. I remember that, in 2008, when Obama got elected, we got condolence calls for Burden. Like, too bad Burden's dead. And I said, I hope so. But, obviously it's not, and it's unfortunate, but hopefully messages like this get out there in the world and can change some hearts and minds.
So I talked to the director, and he told me, writer-director, and he told me that, sometimes, it's hard for us to, we think that we want people to tell our story, but sometimes that's actually not the case. And he actually told me it took some convincing for you to say yes. It's like, what were your hesitations?
I walked away from that life. I walked away from that man. I buried him, and I tried to bury him deep. Well, she was one of the big influences recently that said, this needs to be brought forward. And without her, Robbie, Andrew, and all of them, they wouldn't have got this completed because I was prepared to say, I'm done. But, she explained it. Andrew explained it. After I seen the preview of it, I thought, this is something that needs to be brought forth today. It needs to get this out to the public. Maybe it'll change things today.
Sir, how is it having your story, your message being told as a movie, and also having Forest Whitaker be you?
Well, it's a blessing to see it told. And one of the reasons I love Forest Whitaker, he wants to make sure, as best as he can, that little people like us are treated right.
For your research, did you get a chance to talk with them a little bit to understand, Mrs. Kennedy and who she was as a person, who she is?
I looked to do that. They had the least information about Mrs. Kennedy because she's also very shy. She doesn't want to be out there like that. But I did want to speak to her. I wanted to hear her voice. I wanted her to hear mine and know who I was. I was honored to, Mr. Kennedy came to the set and he was excited to meet me. I'm excited to meet him. And he said, my wife was ecstatic when she found out you were going to be playing her. So that was fun. So I called her and she was still very shy, but she was very pleased. And I asked, was there anything she wanted me to do or say? Nothing really. She trusted me.
Did you know anything about Mike Burden's story prior to the project at all? Because I was curious about like the research that you had to do, or if you got to sit down with maybe your real life counterpart and talk about the experience.
So I didn't know anything about the story, but when I read the script, I found out that it was a true story. And I did get to meet the real Kelvin. That's not his real name, but you know, for the protection of his likeness. And so I got to talk to him a little bit about what was going on in his head and what it was like to be a teenager in 1996 and go through what he went through. And it definitely helped in the preparation process for getting ready for this movie, for sure.
I gotta tell you, man, being a teenager in 1996 was awesome, dude.
It was awesome. It was awesome, but that's what I was saying. I was thinking like, oh, it must have been awesome being a teenager in 1996. But then in South Carolina, where the KKK exists, it might have been a different thing. So, you know, with the hip hop movement, with the emergence of all that stuff, to have such a thing that was based around hate go up and be built, it meant to, you know, it must have been crazy for him.
So then, I mean, I imagine, I haven't seen it yet, so like I imagine you had a lot of scenes with Forrest Whitaker. How was working with him? I mean, he's an Oscar winner, so.
I mean, yeah, not very often do you get the opportunity to work with a legend, man. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to meet and work with Forrest and, you know, really, really take control of an understanding of, you know, what it's like to work with a genius like him, you know, and his patience and his poise and his professionalism on set. All of those things are little things that I wanted to take from him. And also have the opportunity just to bounce ideas off of him, you know? Like, it means a lot when you can just talk to somebody who has the experience that Forrest has. And that's kind of what I wanted to do most of the time.
The movie is in theaters February 28th. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Rick Hong, and you've been watching Hollywood First Look Features.
I've been praying for some kind of sign. If this ain't a sign, then I don't know what is.
How could you let that man in this house?
You out of order, Klansman. I ain't no Klansman no more.
You don't lead a clan, Daddy. It's in you.
We ain't ever gonna stop.
They may set crosses burning in the middle of the night, but we will fill the night with a different kind of fire.
But maybe one day y'all can forgive me.